everyone doing today? Sorry about the effects there, guys. All right, I turned them off. Y'all hear me all right? Hello, everybody. What's going on? Let's see. Hello, Sue, Beth. What's going on? Jennifer from Alabama. Mirelli. What's up from Alberta, Canada? Woo. Elizabeth. What's going on, Elizabeth? Debbie. What's going on, Debbie? We had a conversation not too long ago, right? What was it? Through Messenger. I don't know what's up with my beanie today. And all the way from Canada, of course, Jim. How's it going, Jim? What's up, Scoop? Tonight, we're going to talk a few things tonight. You know what I mean? We're going to talk a few things tonight. Oh, yes, we are. And by the way, if you guys want to jump in and also, well, we're going to see some videos, okay? Some videos. There's going to be a few topics I'm going to talk about today. I was going to go live until tomorrow, but, you know, more information starts coming in as more information starts coming in. And that's like figuring out what's really happening, you know, with this whole thing. You know, it is a war against humanity. And that's what's right now. That's what everybody should be really paying attention to. Their moves. Okay. What's happening? Because obviously everybody's going to turn, most of everyone is going to turn into zombies. Honestly, I believe so. All right. Bill Gates is talking about a third vaccine. Woo! Man, some of you guys already, I mean, I'm not talking about you guys, but many other people had the first and second vaccine. The second vaccine is giving people some really, you know, crazy. I mean, they're reporting some crazy stuff with the with the second vaccine. Imagine what the third one's going to do. My God, did you guys see the interview with Bill Gates? If not, it's on the website. Go ahead and check out the full interview. If not, you can get it online as well. But before I get into that, well, that's one of the topics that I'm going to talk about. The other one is about, is it true that they can manipulate the weather nowadays? There's a lot of people that still don't believe in how they are controlling our weather. Texas was one perfect example with the snowstorm. I believe it was all planned up. Okay, I'm going to tell you, these are the times where you're not. You shouldn't take everything as a joke. You should be taking everything seriously. But of course, don't fear. I'm not giving you information. I'm not trying to bring out the fear in you, but just opening up eyes here, okay? Realizing, and identifying what's really, what these people are really about. Guys, the Rockefeller PDF, all right, the year of 2010, the Rockefeller PDF is on the website. You can download it. Lockstep. You know what I'm talking about? Get yourself the copy and download it. It's right there. I was able to find a copy there and upload it. And for those of you who have already went through the whole scenario thing and read through it, you guys are you're going to understand that this was already planned. Ever since 2010, the Rockefeller Foundation knew about it. The Rothschilds were, basically they're all involved. And of course, Bill Gates and the rest of the billionaires who are making it possible, because it is depopulation time, as you guys know. So keep that in mind. Hey, for those of you who don't believe how they can manipulate the weather nowadays, well, I'm going to take you to a video, Operation Popeye. All right. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. So if you guys do not believe that they can manipulate our weather, they can make it rain, they can make it snow whenever they want to, I'm going to show you a video so you guys can see what happened in Vietnam, okay? And they weren't supposed to bring this again, but I'm pretty sure they've been doing it for the longest time, and they have bypassed, military, everything to do this, all right? Because everybody knows, they know this is happening. They should know. So the only fool ones are us. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna get you through those videos. But first of all, let's get in the topic of Bill Gates here. So Bill Gates, yeah, some of y'all don't even understand what I'm talking about when I said Operation Popeye, right? From Vietnam, when they made it rain and snow. Okay, they basically, well, they made it rain, but now they can make it rain and snow. It's always been there, guys. You know, cloud seeding, the crap that you're seeing up in the sky, that's what they did in Vietnam. Okay, just so y'all know, and we're gonna watch that video. But I don't want to get you guys in there yet. First, all right, I want to talk about this crazy maniac, Bill Gates, and I'm gonna show you a video. All right. There is one video that caught my attention really much, and I will share that. And you've probably seen it. If you have, don't worry about it. Well, we're going to go in discussion with many of the things that Bill Gates is pretty much, he's part of the agenda, guys. And I keep saying that, you know what I mean? You don't believe these things, but I mean, now people are believing them because they're waking up to them. So let's go ahead and pull that video out real quick so you guys can see it and know what I'm talking about here. All right, let's get this ready. And let's go ahead and rewind this video.
Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. My guest today is Vandana Shiva. She is a world-famous environmental activist from India. She's a laureate of the Alternative Nobel Prize in 1993. She's author of numerous books. Her latest is called Oneness versus 1%. Thank you very much for being on the France.
My pleasure.
I want to begin early on. You were not supposed to be an activist. You were a physicist. You wanted to work in nuclear energy. And then you came across in the early 1970s what is known in India as the Chipko movement. Can you explain us how you came across?
Yes, I was training to be in India's nuclear establishment. But then my sister woke me up to the hazards of nuclear. She was a medical doctor. And I went deeper into theoretical physics. I was going to Canada to do a PhD in the foundations of quantum theory. And before I went, I wanted to visit some of my favorite forests in the Himalaya. I've grown up in the Himalayan forest. And this forest I had trekked in was gone. The stream that came from this oak forest was gone. And while returning to Delhi, I talked to a tea shop owner, and he talked about how there's a new movement called Chipko. So in my heart, I said, I'm going to come back every vacation and be a volunteer for this movement. Women came out to say, we're going to hug the trees. You cannot cut the trees because from the trees come our water. The trees stabilize the mountain and prevent landslides. The trees prevent floods and droughts, and they also give us everything we need. We will be huggers of trees. The name Chipko means to hug. And I learned all my lessons of ecological activism from the women of the Himalaya who had never been to school but knew everything about ecology, knew everything about biodiversity. What they called soil, water, and pure air today talked about as ecological functions of the forests. That forests are not timber mines. And a lot of my change in the understanding of the fact that nature is the basis of economy came from my engagement with Chipko. My respect for women's knowledge, indigenous knowledge, came from my engagement with Chipko. And it totally turned my own head upside down because physics, high in the world, you know something others don't. And I realized everyone has knowledge and you must respect it.
So you've became really engaged in this. You've been an opponent of big multinational corporations, especially Monsanto, to name just one, because of what you describe as their nefarious influence on agriculture. There are a number of examples. There was the BT cotton in India, especially. And you said, this is not a matter of helping farmers grow their land, but actually making them dependent on those big corporations.
The entry of corporations into agriculture is so wrong because the corporations only bring poisons. Most of them have roots in Hitler's Germany, in making gases to kill people in concentration camps.
That was not their aim. Their aim was to give people enough.
No. The aim was to make chemicals that kill people. After the wars, they said, why should we stop making these chemicals? Let's say now they'll kill pests. They will give fertilizer.
Listen to her, guys.
Fertilizers were made in the same factories that made explosives and ammunition for Hitler's Germany.
That's not the same goal.
No, the companies are the same and the processes are the same. So your rhetoric might change, but the goal does not. The materiality of a death-making chemical doesn't change when you say it's now for feeding the world. I did a book on the violence of the Green Revolution because Punjab, the most fertile land of India, was destroyed. And then when Monsanto came in as a result of globalization, because till the 90s, 90% of the seed was in farmers' hands, and the rest came from the public sector, from the government labs, research institutions. So Monsanto came illegally, didn't take any approval, with the promise that they would increase farmers' incomes and have this magical technology to control pests. Well, the bollworm is now resistant. Farmers are in debt. Farmers are committing suicide. The area has been ruined. The pollinators are gone. There's no pollination. The groundwater's gone. So there's nothing about the ecosystem. So I save seeds. We brought organic cotton seeds back. We work with the Gandhi ashrams on hand spinning and hand weaving of this organic cotton. The economy in the villages where we work has jumped tenfold because now the wealth is staying in the village rather than being siphoned off as Monsanto's profits. And I read a new study that says because we've saved seeds, we brought local seeds that can be saved back into the economy. Monsanto has lost 11 million.
I want to get to your latest book because you widen, I would say, your attacks is not only Monsanto and the likes, but also others. You attack what you describe as the billionaire dictators, especially one man, I should say, Bill Gates, who you describe as the Christopher Columbus, I'm quoting you, of modern times, and that's not a compliment, obviously, whose mission is to impose, quote unquote, genetically modified organisms and digital dictatorship to small farmers across the world. Bill Gates, who's donated billions to improve public health in poor countries and so on, you're saying essentially he's a dictator and he's there not to help, but to make people poorer, more dependent.
Well, Bill Gates is actually continuing the work of Monsanto because Monsanto had so many movements, and we held a tribunal on Monsanto. Bayer bought up Monsanto, but when Bill Gates pours money into Africa for feeding the poor in Africa and preventing famine, what's he doing? He's pushing the failed green revolution. He's pushing chemicals, pushing GMOs, pushing patents. And now pushing new...
Knowingly, or he thinks it's a good thing and he may be wrong?
Well,
it's not the same thing.
There's enough evidence of what it does. There are enough letters to him from farmers of Africa, from governments of Africa to say, this is not the way to go. The United Nations accepts agroecology, working with ecological systems as the best way to go. Now, Bill Gates is trying very hard to shift the patenting issue now to digital. So you just take a genomic map and you say, my invention, you don't create a seed. Seed is self-organized, self-making, and evolution in continuity. Just by making a map, a genome, and you have no idea what the seed does. And this is something he's pushing very, very hard. My book records how he financed DivSeek. I've talked about how he's pirated seeds we have saved that tolerate salt and floods. And he says invention. This biopiracy is a bit like Columbus, where Columbus is supposed to have discovered America when he basically went as a pirate. Why do I call him today's Columbus? Because he's carving out new colonies. Software should have stayed open software.
So you say he has a strategy, a nefarious strategy, what you describe as philanthrocapitalism, is a nefarious enterprise. And so you're not saying he's using the wrong methods, he's pursuing a wrong goal with self-interest. You also attack Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, saying they're all linked together. I mean, this reeks a bit of conspiracy theory, doesn't it?
Well, my book is based on the new evidence that's coming out. All you have to do is see the ownership, and I have data in the book on how there's common ownership. We stopped Mark Zuckerberg from trying to get into Indian agriculture. It was a big mobilization of people who believe in the open internet.
What did he want to do?
Well, basically what they do is they mine the data from the farmers. And right now, all over the world, there's new debates on privacy issues, on the data mining. There's new books, a new form of capitalism, which is surveillance capitalism, where you basically have turned human beings into your new raw material. So Bill Gates does both. He takes living resources and our seeds and biodiversity, mines it into data and wants ownership along with his friends. And Mark Zuckerberg mines your data and your behaviors and turns it into the raw material, both of corporate world for selling things, which is why strange advertisements pop up after you've sent a message to a friend, and manipulating elections. I have a chapter in the book on the hijack of democracy. You have enough data on what happened with Facebook selling data to Cambridge Analytica and how we are popping up with artificial intelligence leaders. This is a major threat to democracy.
So this is why you're calling them billionaire dictators, because you think they're not helping democracy, but actually threatening and even killing it? I mean, isn't this too much?
No, I have grown up in an India that was post-independence. I've grown up in an India that had absolutely no corporations. I've grown up in an India where democracy works. And therefore, when I see the imposition of digital transactions and criminalization of cash between poor people, I basically see this as a dictatorship. I call it digital dictatorship. When I watch, not just in India, but in Africa and other parts of the world, now that we have the data that is showing that native seeds have more nutrition, they produce more food, they have no cost because you don't have to use chemicals, that local biodiversity is the way to feeding the world, in spite of all that evidence, in spite of the evidence in the United Nations, in the FAO, in UNCTAD, every agency, Bill Gates is still imposing and forcing GMOs, which is a failed enterprise. And he's not just imposing GMOs, he's taking what has failed and rejected by governments. My government threw the BT aubergine of Monsanto out. Bill Gates resurrects it in Bangladesh. We rejected the golden rice for solving the problem of blindness. He finances it to continue through Philippines. So he's taking all the failed projects with the wrong thinking that life is like a word program and can be chopped and cut and pasted, when it's an amazing complexity of self-organization. And scientists call it autopoiesis, self-organization, writing your own poetry. That's what life does. He is absolutely ignoring all of this new knowledge that new science is giving us and imposing a failed technology with a huge cost to the planet, only so there can be monopolies and people and farmers aren't free to have their seed.
Vandana Shiva, obviously you have strong views, and we're happy that you were able to share them with us. Thank you very much for watching this interview here on France 24.
Okay, guys, that is unbelievable. Bill Gates is a big problem, honestly, and I will repeat it. He's the biggest problem that we have, honestly, from what I'm seeing and the more I see in this planet, honestly. But it's not him just doing it. All right, he's backed up by powerful people. Their plan is, from what I understand here, all right, I understand, the whole, but the theory is of, Zuckerberg, pretty much was the backup plan to collect data from people, from what you like, what you desire. It's like this is how I imagine this thing to happen, right? They had like charts, graphs, to say what you like. If you spend most of your time liking this, let's go ahead and also throw in commercials to see if these people watch them and see what they like the most. Oh my God, they love pizza. Oh, they love burgers a lot. Oh, okay, they love this, they love that. Okay, they're just to study you, particularly every single person, your whole characteristics, everything you have, honestly. All right, that's the data that they steal and they report to all these big corporate people. All right, to all these huge corporations and tell them, I know what the people want. I have it, but it's going to cost you money. I'll give it to you, but it's going to cost you money. I know what they all like in every country. I know what they think. I know what they're after. I know what they like. So here comes, they get all this information sold to them, and the big crazy corporations and the big billionaires and everything, they have this information. So they know with their crazy ideas how they're going to plan this and manipulate the whole entire world. Because you know what? Believe it or not, Facebook is what? Global, right? It's worldwide. There's Facebook everywhere, except I think probably North Korea and maybe some places, but I think it's available everywhere. So they are studying every single thing, every thought. That's why it says, I've always wondered when you put in there, what's on your mind? You know what I mean? Post on that. When you make a post, right? It has a little question mark that says, what is on your mind today? Well, they want to know what's on your mind. They want to know what you think. They want to know what you're after. If you like pizza, if you like the color red, if you like the color black, to get that data and build graphs of, look, we have this much people that like this. We have this much other people that like this. And then they can have an idea of how they're going to do things. Pretty much. Unfortunately, that's the way it was done with Zuckerberg. I mean, believe me, FBI, CIA, yeah. It's honestly, that's the truth. And I mean, they're seeing everything. They're seeing this, they're seeing everything, but who cares? Everybody else is sharing the same truth. They already know us, they already know the amount of people that already, awoke about this. They know. Matter of fact, the future is going to get tougher on a lot of us, and we're just going to have to, that's what I'm saying, we're going to have to get rid of all these stuff, and pretty soon we're going to have to look out because, they will be on the hunt. Trust me. They will be on the hunt. So they use this whole Facebook system to study every single your behavior, what you like the most, everything that's on your mind. And then they sell it to second, third party people, or corporations saying, look, honestly, there's a big interest for this, that you're looking for. But in order for me to give you the amount of people that like this, and that's why you see all these ads that start popping up and everything. Of course, when you're using Google and everything is the same crap. These people work together. They're like a family. And they knew this was they had this in plan. But in order to manipulate the whole entire globe, they needed something powerful. Something powerful where they can collect and jack your data, and basically make graphs out of it saying, look, we have a certain population that likes this. We have a certain population that thinks this way. We have another population that thinks, all right, so this is where we're going to manipulate and we're going to target what we want to target because we already know. We already have the data. All right. So they know when you're scared also. They know how many people are fearless of their crap. And they know, which other people, are not, are scared. They know it. And they're look, guys, they're using numbers. Numbers. They have the numbers. They have numbers. So, they're probably already freezing me up. I'm not sure if I am not or not, but, so anyways, I'm going to change it from there. The mind of Bill Gates is the most corrupted mind anybody else will ever find. But it's not just him by himself. You guys know that he's been backed up by these big old, it goes way beyond than just him, but he is the one source who's going to make it happen. Okay. Those seeds, all right, his seeds, his products, his stuff is garbage to the human body. Just like this person from India was explaining, right? From India, she was saying, they have the organic seeds. They have the real seeds. This crazy man comes up with these they get the data. They collect the data from the indigenous. All right. And then they reproduce their own experiments because they know, it's going to seem like you're eating this nice watermelon, right? But in reality, it's an experiment of these, of these wacko heads, and it's not going to produce any type of, nutrient in your body. And that's what it's. So you're eating fake stuff from this, from this man and his garbage plans. Why? Because it cuts your life. It cuts your life. You don't have you don't have what do you call it? You don't have the minerals. You don't have the vitamins that you really need, because he's not giving you the original organic seed that has been planted by God. All right? That's what I'm going to tell you right there. So, let's see. With that being said, guys, let's go ahead and watch the next video of this psychopath. We continue to see what's on. Bill Gates has third vaccine. Oh, he's saying there's going to be a third vaccine. Look, I already know people who put already 2 vaccines on, and the second one whacked them up. They feel different. I'm going to tell you this much. Those guys are going to be like robots. They're going to be like zombies. We're the ones who are going to be still, woken up here. But, you know what I mean? We got to pray for those people, guys, But let's go into wacko Bill Gates, third vaccine. And here's the sad part. People are still believing this garbage. With all the evidence, this video came out in 2019 with this lady, from India, by the way. Farmers, guys. Farmers. She said, hell no, not me. Not us. It's just ridiculous, man. Whoever trusts this man is just, you're setting yourself up for failure, honestly. Like, your life is, that's all I got to say. But look, we're nobody to...
This is BetMGM.
Here, let's watch this whole video here.
Showtime. When you join BetMGM and bet $1, you get 100 if there's a three-pointer scored tonight. And the action doesn't stop there. Just fire up the BetMGM app. Place your bet on any basketball game or hundreds of other matchups. Then track your bet live. This is BetMGM. Win.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us on CBSNews.com. I'm Norah O'Donnell. The overwhelming majority of scientists in the world agree there is a looming climate disaster. The rising temperature of the globe has been linked to more frequent severe storms. That's why Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, is now determined to get the world to take revolutionary change to save our warming planet.
Listen, climate disaster, okay? And I'm going to show you how it is possible, okay, to create this type of disaster. Well, let's keep listening to this lady.
In his new book called How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. That's his new book. It's out today. Mr. Gates, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to talk to you.
Good to see you. So why do you believe that climate change is the toughest challenge humanity will ever face?
Well, most things we do physically, making steel, cement, as we transport ourselves in planes or cars, all of these activities involve emitting greenhouse gases. And so the scale of the change, where we've set ourselves a goal of having this all done and getting to zero by 2050, that's very daunting. It's bigger than anything humanity has done to date.
We're going to dig into some of those details and some of the solutions you propose, but what are the consequences if we don't act now?
Yeah, unfortunately, as you put more and more CO2 in the atmosphere, it stays there for thousands of years and it drives the temperature up. And that makes those storms really bad. It destroys things like coral reefs. It causes wildfires. The sea levels go up. People who farm won't even be able to work outdoors during the day. And so particularly the poorest countries, you'll have tens of millions of people migrating north and causing civil wars and great unrest. So from a human point of view or a nature point of view, it's tragic if we can't limit those emissions and get them to stop.
Yeah, that's why we talked about that looming climate disaster, truly disastrous consequences. In fact, we're all familiar with the fallout from this global pandemic that we've now been living with for almost a year. And you write in the book, the loss of life and economic misery caused by this pandemic are on par with what will happen regularly if we do not eliminate the world's carbon emissions. You say regularly, you mean 500,000 Americans dead regularly if we don't deal with this climate disaster?
That's right. The death toll would be even worse near the equator, and the unrest, would be global in nature. And sadly, you couldn't just invent a vaccine, one thing, and get that out and bring it to an end, because it's all these different sources. So you've got to start work now to avoid those terrible consequences much later.
One of the things that I learned new from your book, among many, is just how we emit greenhouse gases. And so we made a graphic to show everybody how we do that, including a third of it from how we make things. You mentioned cement, steel, and plastic. Electricity, 27%, 19% growing things, agriculture, plant, 16% transportation, and 7% keeping warm. And combined, all of these create about 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases a year. You are proposing that we reduce that to zero in 30 years. That seems virtually impossible.
It's a challenge. Anybody who thinks it's going to be easier, that we can get it done before that date, is not looking at the scope of the problem. But it's so important, and we have a young generation that cares about this, has it as almost a moral cause beyond their own individual success. And so if we orchestrate the right policies and the right innovators, based on my experience, we can succeed.
Yes, but you're suggesting that we have to change every single aspect of our lives. And I think that's why that graphic is so important, because it does touch on every single thing we do every single day. Electricity, I think that's probably the one that most of us, we flip on the light switch every morning or at night. We have all heard of clean energy. And you write in the book that if a genie offered you one wish to fight climate change, you'd pick a breakthrough in making electricity. How?
Well, the good news is that the cost of solar and wind has come down dramatically. We need to vastly accelerate how much we build that out, because we'll be using electricity for more things, like the passenger car battery recharge, or instead of natural gas to heat your house, you'll use what's called an electric heat pump. And so the electricity sector is going to have to grow a lot. We still want it to be reliable, and that's tough because if you're weather dependent, you get long periods like a cold front that we see right.
I'm sorry. I'm not giving this guy just the free air here, all right? But I want you to see, he's just talking about this whole climate change problem, all this stuff that's happening right now. It's all climate change and what we're going through, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to show you an interesting video after this. But I want you to keep listening to this man for just a little bit. I know some of y'all can't even take it, all right? Because we know the kind of person this guy is. I mean, so many people are so fooled. But anyways, let's keep listening to this crazy man here. Oops, excuse me. That wasn't supposed to happen. Let me fix this up.
Right now, where the wind and solar is not providing the energy.
Okay, here we go.
And so making sure we have enough storage or some non-weather dependent sources like nuclear, so that we're not freezing to death or boiling to death, that I highlight as one of probably the biggest challenge in this whole space.
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up, and that's where we wanted to go in talking about this, because the topic of electricity could not be more timely. Look at Texas. That's my home state where I grew up. More than 4 million customers are without power after this Arctic blast froze wind turbines. The Wall Street Journal today argues that this is the risk of trying to banish fossil fuels. Is what's happening in
making Texas as an example for their dirty crap. Here we go.
Texas a sign of the limits of clean energy like wind?
Basically, no. That is, if you have enough transmission so that, across the country, the wind is blowing somewhere and the sun is shining somewhere. If you have some degree of storage and some sources like nuclear that are not weather dependent, we can grow the electricity and maintain reliability. Now, it's not going to be easy. This is one where just looking at the price of solar alone doesn't tell you the challenge that we face. But we can get rid of those hydrocarbons for all of our electricity generation and still not freeze to death.
Yeah, but in Texas, which gets a fair portion of their energy from wind turbines, those wind turbines are frozen. And you hear energy officials in the state saying that is part of the problem.
You're right. A cold front over the Midwest that would shut down most of that wind and solar is the case that we need the nuclear and the storage for. And so we need more sources like offshore wind, which would not, shut down at the same time because it's very far away. Our grid is very tiny. In fact, Texas kind of has its own grid, but we need to connect Texas and the rest of the country together with a lot more capacity so that you use that diversity of sources as one of the ways you deal with reliability. And then for the remaining.
And then we can just shut off the whole power whenever we want to, and then we can control the whole grid and do whatever we want to. Okay, no, okay, that's coming out of my mouth. Let's keep listening to this guy.
You're either storing it, which isn't easy, or the nuclear reactors are running 24 hours a day.
So let me ask you, what lessons can we learn about what's happening in Texas? I mean, more than 4 million people without electricity.
Yeah, well, part of that problem is the transmission lines, get knocked down. Some of that we can innovate to go underground. People really take for granted how well electricity works. And it is true, the coal plants weren't weather dependent. They had, a lot of coal piled up there so they could keep running. And, the new sources don't work that way. So, great expertise, an open-mindedness to the new approaches, incentives for these companies. That's a sector that we can make completely green and show the world how to do it.
In fact, Bill, you write in the book that there is only one carbon-free energy source that can reliably deliver power day and night through every season that can work on a large scale, and that is nuclear fission. Is that the future?
We need to keep innovating there and make it dramatically safer and dramatically cheaper because unless we get very surprised by some cheap way of storing energy, we will need that on-demand capability. And we have to start from scratch because today's reactors are very complex and they require operators to do the right thing. And so the U.S. government is funding a number of companies, including one I'm involved with, demonstration reactors that can show this breakthrough level of safety and low cost.
Fossil fuels are cheap. That's why they're used around the world, and they have been for decades. And I know you want to move towards eliminating them. But what happens to the 2.8 million Americans that are working in the oil and gas industry?
Yeah, fortunately, this is a 30-year transition, and there's lots of clean jobs that can be created in those same locations. In fact, over the next decade, as we're building the new infrastructure and continuing to use the hydrocarbons, the total number of jobs will actually go up. Moving hydrogen around the country, which is clean, there'll be great jobs there. The electricity sector being 3 times as big, building all those transmission lines, to taking CO2 and putting it into the same type of holes that we've been taking oil out of. We need the skill sets, the complex engineering capabilities, the unions with the trade skills. There may be some places there's dislocation, and so as we budget for the green energy, we have to think about those affected communities as well as funding the innovation and deployment. You know, we've got to have a strong enough consensus that this becomes more of a bipartisan issue.
But just to level with everybody, it is going to cost more. I mean, that is one of the and living in the United States of America,
it's going to come out of our pockets.
Economies, energy is incredibly cheap. It really is. And fossil fuels
Pathetic
are incredibly
plan.
cheap. But in order to change, to get more green energy, it is going to cost more. You call them green, or many people call them green premiums.
Waste of our money.
Why would most Americans agree to pay more? Why would they agree to change if it's going to cost them more?
Well, let me use the example that we've made the most progress in, which is electric cars. Over the next 15 years, as the cost of the batteries come down, their capacity goes up, you get more charging points, you get quick 15-minute charging. The electric car won't have a green premium. That is, the overall cost won't be worse. Now, the government's incented this through a tax credit. You know, Tesla and many of the companies are now.
Okay, if you want to hear more of this crap, you know what I mean, you can go ahead and listen to it. It's I think I already put it on the website. Anyways, look, here's what I'm trying to get at. All right, this is about control. If they are able to put all these manufacturing companies that he recommends, all right, make us all a one type of grid, right? One sort. What Texas is not part of the big grid here. You know what I mean? We're not all connected. Okay, if they can control everything, all right, everything, they can do whatever the hell they want. Whenever they want to knock your power down, they're going to do it. All right, whenever they want to do things, they're going to do it. Now, this is about climate. You know, we have a whole big problem right now with climate change. His crap is that what? Earth is all really hot or something. The core is heating up, and this is why we have all these weather disasters and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And he goes like, yeah, and let me scratch my head, and yeah, this is why this is all happening. Oh yeah, and okay, cool, all right. So there's still a lot of people in here, all right, and maybe that are watching this video who don't believe, that weather can be manipulated. Okay? People nowadays, not even nowadays. Let's go back in time to figure out how that was done. Let's watch an interesting video of how it all was done. And then they say, oh no, that can't happen. Oh, that cannot happen nowadays. Oh no, it's over with. That surely cannot happen. Look, guys, you're living in the times where anything can happen now. All right? Anything can happen. All right? There is no more. I'm talking about NASA still involved in a bunch of. I didn't know NASA was involved in a bunch of crap. Honestly. So keep in mind, this is what we're going to watch here. And we're going to watch the beginning of this video to understand, to understand that it can, weather could be manipulated. It can be done, and they could be doing that. All these storms, what a coincidence. We got Bozo on the White House and everything starts happening, right? Okay. Well, let's watch this video really quick. And let me take you there.
As the Vietnam War reached a crossroads, the U.S. Army had important decisions to make if they wanted to tip the scale back to their side. All options were on the table, both conventional and unconventional. And among the most unusual plots was Operation Popeye, launched in an attempt to weaken the Ho Chi Minh Trail, the Viet Cong's most vital mechanism and supply flow tool. To accomplish this, the U.S. would turn the weather into a weapon of war. Operation Popeye utilized cloud seeding technology, a type of weather modification that artificially creates rain or snow. With it, the U.S. military extended at least 5 monsoon seasons, causing detrimental effects to the unknowing Vietnamese citizens and soldiers. The mission spanned 5 years and cost taxpayers over $15 million. Despite multiple hearings in Congress, military officers, and even President Nixon himself denied it existing at all. The Vietnam War was, for many reasons, unlike any other war American soldiers had ever seen. Instead of a standard campaign frontline, where the American Army had more than enough experience, the Vietnam War's battles were fought in the dense South Vietnam jungle. This was an isolated region filled with mountains, animals, and endless greenery. The Viet Cong's most significant advantage over the U.S. in this region was the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a logistics network made up of dirt pads and hand-dug tunnels. It had secret bunkers, barracks, and even a few hospitals. All were cleverly hidden from American aircraft looking for them in reconnaissance missions. With its extensive web of roads and handmade paths, the trail helped the Viet Cong carry massive amounts of manpower, weapons, food, and other war material from one side of the country to the other. At over 1,000 miles in length, the trail ran from North to South Vietnam and extended through the kingdoms of Laos and Cambodia. The U.S. military attempted to destroy the trail with never-ending bombing campaigns. More bombs were dropped on Laos than in Germany and Japan combined in World War II. But none of the tactics were entirely effective. Even Agent Orange wasn't up to the task. The trail network was so vast and complex that if one of the paths were closed, all Viet Cong soldiers had to do was find a secondary way back to their base. But there was one thing that significantly slowed the supply flow on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Rain turned the trails into muddy messes, rendering them too difficult to supply vehicles to maneuver. Vietnam is known for having one of the world's longest monsoon seasons, usually running from April to October. June, July, and August are the months with the heaviest rain. And so the Department of Defense decided to attempt to recreate this process. Their goal was to try to control the weather and extend the monsoon season for as long as they could. To achieve this, they resorted to cloud seeding. This process is thought to have originated in 1946 by Vincent Schaefer, a chemist employed by General Electric. Cloud seeding is a method for artificially producing rain or snow. It requires modifying a cloud's chemical structure to boost the chances of precipitation, with the added substance of silver iodide, which works as a condensation agent. There are two ways to disperse cloud seeding agents, either using large cannons to shoot the particles into the sky, or using airplanes to drop the particles from above. Throughout the planning period, the program went by several names to maintain its secrecy. Operation Popeye ended up being its official name. In a memorandum sent in January 1967, from Deputy Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Foy D. Kohler to then Secretary of State Dean Rusk, Kohler described Project Popeye's goals, stating, quote, "The objective is to inhibit overland vehicular movement and to reinforce the bottlenecks already created at stream crossings by the bombing of bridges and ferry installations. With respect to Laos, the objective is to extend rainfall through the dry season, keeping the ground as near the saturation point as possible and obstructing traffic that normally forwards streams during the low water period. By generating rain, the American Army would slow the Viet Cong's truck traffic, impairing their supply flow throughout the trail and leaving them more susceptible to other attacks." Kohler also believed that cloud seeding was relatively more ethical than common warfare, stating, quote, "With respect to North Vietnam, we believe that as an interdiction measure, Popeye operations would be less harmful to the population and the area affected than bombing. For Operation Popeye to be successful, it had to be carried out with the utmost secrecy. If information about America playing God and controlling the weather came out, there might be speculation about man-made alterations in other climatic anomalies they had no connection with. However, American planners were also convinced that their intervention on the weather would inevitably be discovered. According to Deputy Undersecretary Kohler's memo, quote, "In the first place, the altered weather will be observable, in contrast to the experimental phase conducted during normally rainy periods. Disclosure of planned weather experiments in India would make it likely that the connection would become apparent. Secondly, the possibility of a U.S. seeding aircraft being downed cannot be discounted. Thirdly, there is virtually no aspect of military operations in Southeast Asia which has not over time become the subject of leaks, or at least of speculation in the press." Operation Popeye is thought to be the first known successful application of weather control technology in warfare. The first flight of the operation took off on March 20th, 1967. A total of 2,602 flights were made in 5 monsoon seasons, from March to November. The 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron executed the cloud seeding procedure using the slogan, "Make mud, not war." Within their squadron, the operation was codenamed Motor Pool. 3 Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft and 2 McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom aircraft, based at Udon Thani Royal Thai Air Force Base, were altered and fitted with silver iodide ejectors. The 5 cloud seeding jets had the standard Southeast Asia camouflage colors and markings, but no unit identifiers, likely because the operation was top secret. The squadron flew 2 rainmaking operations per day, while also generating report data, which they presented to their superiors. The flights were officially logged in as standard weather reconnaissance flights. The Viet Cong would not know where the rain was coming from. The initial range of operations for Popeye was the eastern half of the Laotian Panhandle. 4 months after the first official flight, the area of intervention was increased toward North Vietnam. In September 1967, the Ao Sha Valley in South Vietnam was also added to the mix. As bomb operations over North Vietnam expanded, that area was eliminated from the list on April 1st, 1968. Likewise, the southern region to North Vietnam became part of the operational site for only a couple of months. In 1972, northeastern Cambodia was added to the operational zone. A total of 47,409 units of cloud seed cartridges were expended. The operation's details were so secret that the soldiers who got selected to participate were usually kept in the dark until the last minute. Everyone had their own theory about what Operation Popeye was really about. Soldier Howard Kibble said, quote, "I had fleeting thoughts of flying over China, working for the CIA, you name it. But I signed a statement and found out that I was going to make rain. Geez, I thought they were kidding." Ethical and environmental concerns were Operation Popeye's downfall. An article in the Washington Post in 1971 by reporter Jack Anderson revealed that the U.S. was engaged in clandestine weather weaponization in Vietnam. The information was corroborated by the Pentagon Papers leak released by Daniel Ellsberg. The following year, in July of 1972, journalist Seymour Hersh reported in the New York Times about Operation Popeye using the headline, "Rainmaking is used as a weapon by the U.S." The article describes how some officials opposed the radical idea and even doubted its effectiveness due to the unknown long-term consequences, stating, quote, "Despite years of experiments with rainmaking in the U.S. and elsewhere, scientists are not sure they understand its long-term effect on the ecology of a region." A few days after the story's publication, the entire program was officially ended, and all cloud seeding missions stopped. Silver iodide, a material used in cloud seeding condensation, is known to be toxic to aquatic life. So when used in the long term, precipitation from seeded clouds could harm the environment. The news caught the eye of Democratic Senator Claiborne Pell, who demanded to have the specifications of Operation Popeye officially declassified and released to the public. As one of the leaders of the operation, Lieutenant Harry Edward Soyster was asked to testify in front of the Committee on Foreign Relations. he told them everything he knew. The cost of Operation Popeye was about $3.6 million per year, which included the operation and maintenance of the modified jets, purchase of seating materials, and pay for the people involved in the project. The timing of all these public announcements did not work out well for the Department of Defense. In 1972, the environmental boom in America was burgeoning. In addition, the Nixon administration was already struggling with the beginning stages of the infamous Watergate scandal. When the public, especially environmental activists, found out that America had secretly been playing God and altering the weather in Vietnam, they were outraged. The operations were dubbed the Watergate of weather warfare. Operation Popeye was officially terminated on July 5, 1972. In 1977, the U.S. joined the Environmental Modification Convention Treaty, or ENMOD, an international treaty which formally banned weather modification for malicious purposes. The agreement banned causing earthquakes and tsunamis, steering hurricanes, or tampering with the ionosphere. It also prohibited any kind of severe damage to the environment. Since cloud seeding has never been used in warfare again, the results cannot be measured or compared. Author James Roger Fleming agreed, stating, quote, "Although some claim that Operation Popeye induced from 1 to 7 inches of additional rainfall annually along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, no scientific data were collected to verify the claim." Even if Operation Popeye did help a few U.S. victories in Vietnam, a fact that is impossible to determine, its extreme secrecy and denials by the military and the government resulted in a significant strategic defeat for climatic modification with military purposes.
There you have it, guys. What do you guys think? Operation Popeye. You think this came out, what, in 1946, right? They had this method of doing this whole thing. But look, that was Vietnam, right? They said they would never do this again. I just wonder, cloud seeding, what have I been looking every single day at the sky? You know? These trails covering up the sky in less than 2-3 hours. It kind of reminds me of Operation Popeye, if you ask me. I mean, I just look up and I'm like, what in the world? The sky turned gray in matters of a few hours. Okay? The temperature changed. The weather changed. I mean, it looks just the same as Operation Popeye, if you ask me. I mean, what else can I tell you? What else can I tell you? But here's the thing. All right. In the process of that, we learned that it is harmful. It is harmful to life. So why would they try to do that again? Eventually they are. I have another video of this one person that I'm not going to show today, but she used to work for the military, I believe, and she was in charge of the OSHA with the chemical stuff coming in and out. And basically, she was the one who argued and warned about this chemical that they were igniting up in the air. They were using this chemical, and basically she even collected samples. What do you call those people that do that? Damn it, I can't think of the name. But anyways, she collected samples and she warned everybody about it. And, you know, she ended up leaving the military because they were pretty much, you know, telling her either you shut up or we're going to stick you in the crazy house. You know, and you have a little child as well. She had like a little girl. And they were already thinking of, putting her in a crazy house and taking her little girl away. So she resigned. She got out. Anyways, I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not, but there's still more. And this has me questioning, right? I mean, you guys are seeing this, right? This is something that we pay attention. Like, we had a snowstorm here in Texas, and you wonder what, because obviously these planes, which should be very questionable, all right, and we already know the answers to it. Bill Gates is part of this whole cloud seeding program. So we're seeing the pattern that Bill Gates is putting on every single thing. He's attached to vaccines. He's attached to the climate change cloud seeding program. He's attached to many, many things. And it should be a concern for the whole population all over the world, honestly, if you ask me, right? But that's my opinion. Not just America, the whole entire globe. Because, I mean, guys, look at that. It is destroying our life. It is destroying our plants, our animals, everything. And it is damaging your health, whether you want to believe it or not. You know what I mean? It's messing up your health. So in these times, this is what this is what God shows me, because I'm like, Lord, help me understand. And I already knew about Operation Popeye, but look, I found this video and I was like, great, God, now I can show people. You know what I mean? They need to wake up. They need to think about really taking serious what's happening and, first thing that I've always said, because there's always a solution. I'm not just going to inject the fear into everybody and saying, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to inject fear. I'm just trying to bring you awareness, because there's still some people that don't believe this and they're still sleeping on it. And when they wonder why things are happening, they don't understand, But that's why when you connect with Christ and God, you ask him, God, give me the wisdom to find out what's really happening behind the curtains, right? That's what you want to know. And it's not hard once you open yourself up to God and God says, look, here it is. Here it is. So I keep hearing Bill Gates about this whole climate problem, okay? And I ask God, what is going on with this climate? I mean, God, I'm always questioning the planes up there. You know what I mean? These things up there fumigating the sky basically almost every day. They take some breaks here and then, but I've been observing and I've been taking videos and I've been looking at them, and they're not just one, guys. They're many. Imagine how much money they're spending on these programs, on these cloud seeding programs, all right? With these planes all over the sky, and not to know exactly. They say this is a chemical. How do we know what chemical it really is that they're spraying? Okay, are we there to see it? We have cameras. We got people who are investigating. We got stuff. No. It's just all happening, right? So, can they manipulate the weather nowadays? Imagine if that was in 1946, what they can do now. It's more dangerous than what you think. That was in 1946. All right? Military had this. Okay? So now, it's what? Year 2021. Now think about it. Okay? Military said they would never do it again, but they're agencies. It's not the military, it's agencies. If you track these planes, I believe they're agencies that are doing this. Under who? Bill Gates. All right? So I'm not saying this is... The thing is that military had the formula for this, but these rich people picked it up. Or maybe they're the ones who presented it. I don't know. But somebody else had a copy of the formula, if you ask me. Honestly. So these videos and more are going to be posted on the website, and there's much things that I'm going to be presenting. I'm finding out more things, and God's good. God's bringing knowledge, but he wants to basically bring us all knowledge. Now, you say, what can we do about that? Well, okay. Here's the deal, okay? I've always said this, guys. They can throw a bunch of stuff at your body, All right. But if you are pretty much, depending on God's foods and all that stuff, and some people don't believe me on this, and look, some people go to sleep when I say this, but this is the most important thing. Okay. Organically, what God created, you taking that in your body, you're building up your immune system. You know that. A lot of us know that. Okay. But if you're not, then I'm sorry. When he said there's going to be a lot of people dying, he is not kidding. Bill Gates is not kidding when he's telling you they're going to die, because he already knows how they're dying, which is a very disturbing part. For him, he's saving the planet. He's not saving anything, guys. All right. This is all part of their agenda. All right. Depopulation is already now. You've been hearing this through many, many other channels. And I can go on and on and on by saying, but we're like, it's coronavirus. What the hell? What are you talking about, coronavirus? Dummies. We see a lot of people hugging each other and everything. They're not getting sick the next day. They're not, they're not going crazy. They're not dropping like flies, like birds. You know what I mean? No. This is not transmitted through from person to person. This thing is airborne, guys. That's what I believe. This thing is airborne. They are detonating biological. I mean, this is a biological warfare. That's why, guys, remember that lady that I played on the last video that I made yesterday? Bertha, what's her name? Bertha Talabantes, right? Well, I wrote to her today. I emailed and she responded back. So I'm going to wait for her on a live interview to go in more in depth of these things with her actually now, because she has more information now to share. So she responded back. She emailed me back and she says, let's go ahead and set up a live interview. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to record it first, maybe. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, because if they interrupt their stream, it's going to really mess things up. I don't know how we're going to do about it, but I'm hoping to just stream it live so everyone can see it, guys. So that's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? Like, look, it's a thing where you guys are many people are sleeping on this stuff. You know what I mean? And I keep telling you, like, God made everybody intelligent. The Lord made everybody smart. The Lord made everybody, all right, intelligent. Not just, these mass murder people who are doing this are the only ones who should be intelligent. We should be intelligent because we are intelligent. God made us intelligent. Our brains have the capacity of really even with God's help, outsmarting these people, honestly. And that is no secret. That is what's called God's creation, okay? They are depending on God's creation, trust me, even though they're connected to the devil and his whole evil powers. Look, they know the truth. They know the truth, but they are getting that. They're feeding themselves from those sources. They are keeping themselves healthy through it, and they're not going to share that with you. They're not going to tell you. Of course not. Of course not. They got a mission. They're on a mission. They are on a mission. Now, ask yourself, Biden, the administration working with Bill Gates and the WHO, the WHO, doesn't that ring a bell to most of you guys by now? Look, Bill Gates with the third vaccine. You already went through 1, 2, and now here comes your third one. Most of us haven't even had our first one, and we will not. Okay, but if you want to get into depth of what this man, if you're going to trust this man for what he is and what he's doing, hey man, good luck to you. We'll pray for you. But we're not gonna go to the lies of this guy. Honestly, we're not. Now, the Rockefeller PDF, guys, is there. And I'm going to share with you before we leave. I'm going to see if we could share this. You can download the PDF on the website, and you'll find it there. But let's go ahead and show you the scenario of 2010. The one that caught my attention the most. There we go. Let's go ahead and pull it up. All right, here we go. this is available and you can download it if you can't find it. Maybe you can find it online, but that's where you guys gotta read this stuff. All right, here's a table of contents. Okay, this is the one that we're gonna read. Lockstep, page 18. All right, let's keep going, and I'm just gonna read to you the scenario. Okay, the Rockefeller Foundation wrote down a scenario as an example of what could have happened, or what they were thinking was going to happen in the future. Now, you let me know if this doesn't relate to what happened with this pandemic. Okay. Lockstep, a world tighter, top-down government control, and more what? Authoritarian leadership, with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Okay. Clever together, a world in which highly coordinated and successful strategies emerge for addressing both urgent and entrenched worldwide issues. Hack attack, an economically unstable and shock-prone world in which governments weaken, criminals thrive, and dangerous innovations emerge. Smart scramble, an economically depressed world in which individuals and communities develop localized makeshift solutions to a growing set of problems. Okay, and they have the solution for everything, supposedly. So they said, all right, let's put down a scenario, you know what I mean, so people can maybe can prepare, can know that it's going to be all right, it's going to happen, but we're going to have the solution, you know what I mean, to it all, right? Trust the science and trust everybody. So anyways, I'm going to read just the one that I read that I found very, very interesting. Okay. Lockstep, a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. In 2012, the pandemic that the world had been anticipating for years finally hit. Unlike 2009's H1N1, this new influenza strain originating from wild geese was extremely virulent and deadly. Even the most pandemic prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population and killing 8 million in just 7 months. The majority of them healthy young adults. The pandemic also had a deadly effect on economies. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt, debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Even locally, normally bustling shops and office buildings sat empty for months, devoid of both employees and customers. The pandemic blanketed the planet, though disproportionate numbers died in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Central America, where the virus spread like wildfire in the absence of official containment protocols. But even in developed countries, containment was a challenge. The United States' initially policy of strongly discouraging citizens from flying proved deadly, and its leniency accelerating the spread of the virus not just with the U.S., but across the borders. However, a few countries did fare better, China in particular. The Chinese government quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as its instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of the virus far earlier than in other countries and enabling a swifter post-pandemic recovery. So I'm going to leave it there. All right, there's more that you can read. Okay. Lockstep is one. So just so you can see, this was written in 2010. Okay, it was done as a scenario by the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay, so I read to you a piece of it. Okay, you can go on the website and read the whole entire thing. There's tons of pages on their whole thing that they plan, and you're gonna read and you're gonna be like, wow. Anyways, so in 2010, they were already describing this as a scenario. What a coincidence that, or how crazy that now it just finally happened, right? And China was the best one out of everybody. Wow. Let's give the glory to China, right? So just so you guys can understand, you know, the craziness that's happening right now, in order to find all the facts, you need to climb back in time. You need to turn back and see where was I sleeping? Where was I sleeping? Where was I, you know, distracted with NFL, with football games, with all sorts of stuff, you know, with Facebook, with face crap and all this stuff? Where was I sleeping all these years? With work, with a title merry-go-round, you know what I mean? You're just doing your stuff while you're doing all that. They're working behind the curtains. They're preparing, you know, the real scenario. So it's just truth here, guys. You know, nobody's trying to lie to you and stuff. I mean, we got to go back to the past to pick up all the pieces and puzzles to make it, you know, make some sense out of what's really happening now. All right. Not everybody's going to catch this, unfortunately. God gives you the wisdom. All right. He said, seek and you shall find. All right. Ask and you shall receive. You know, so I said, Lord, I'm asking, where is this stuff? Why do we have this? Help me understand. He's like, go back in time. It's going to happen. There's still more things that are coming out that right now that you have the time to do it. Look and go back and then find it and say, oh, no wonder. They've all been planning this ever since I've been distracted with my business, with my lifestyle. It's something that they kept you busy for a long time. And there have been few people who have been there. Hey, guys, there's a warning. There's a warning. He's a crazy guy. Oh, no, he's just, he's all conspiracy theory. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, he's a mess. Oh, yeah. Now those guys are probably saying, Lord, finally, you know, finally it's making sense to people. But I think it's a little too late, because if we could have done probably something back then, we could have gotten, you know, serious about stuff. But look, it's all part of God's plan. That's all I got to say. Okay. Now, keep in mind, they can attack Texas with their weather storm. And this is where I'm going to get at. All right. They can do their weather storms. They can manipulate the climate. But I remember clearly in the Bible that passage where Jesus was in the boat and he had his disciples, and it was thundering. It was what? We went through a whole storm, right? He was sleeping like a baby, you know what I mean, in that boat, and they were waking him up. Jesus, look at this storm. It's going to kill us all. The same thing. This is going out for Texas, because I'm in Texas and everybody in Texas, all right? Look. Jesus woke up and he's like, man, you guys, little people of faith, you had to wake me up. And all you had to do was rebuke. Let me rewind. Rebuke the rain, the storm. And that's it. He did it. I command you in the name of, you know, by God's name, whatever he commanded the winds to stop, and they stopped. The turbulence to stop, and it stopped. All right. The storm stopped. He commanded. Now we can say as well. All right. I rebuke the chemtrails. All right. That are happening. I rebuke all these demonized people that are making this. You have to include this in your prayer, because the power of prayer is stronger than what you think. If Jesus said, if you had faith, only if you had faith, you would tell this mountain, right? Move and it shall move, right? Faith like a mustard seed. So if he was in that boat with that big storm, guys, and he commanded the clouds and everything to stop and everything went, silent, guess what we got to do in our cities? In every city. This is a global, a global network of the children of God. All right? Followers of Christ, God himself. One nation under God. Connected. Well, we're like, Lord, they're big. They're giant. They're going at us. We can't stop this. Not even our guns would even be able to stop this. Look, do you know that these maniacs have even drones that can kill people right now if they wanted to? They can unleash those drones and they can kill the whole entire planet if they wanted to. If they wanted to. Okay? But of course, there would be a big chaos and destruction of the whole entire world. They basically they want to be living in here still. They don't want their big mansions to be burned down either. You know what I mean? Because they'll know who we're going to go after when all this breaks loose. So look, the thing is that none of that matters. Okay? What matters is that God will make the impossible possible. And that's where I'm going to get at. All right? So when we see the chemtrails, this is what I do here in El Paso, okay? I rebuke them. I say, I rebuke those trails in the name of Jesus Christ. Break them, God. Break them. Break them. Break them all. Let the wind take them away. Have those planes malfunction something that they cannot even start. Do something, Lord. But I rebuke those in the name of Christ. And look, today I had a great sunny day. Really nice. Clouds. I didn't see one single trail. Right now it's sunny in El Paso. All right. We only had 1 day of snow. 1 day. I think 1 day. And then the second day kind of like sprinkled rain. Even if this one person praying, God is going to listen. So to my fellow Texans, all right, in Texas, learn how to depend on God mostly than everything. You see that? Don't be scared. You saw this video. You know it's the works of the devil. You know it's the works of evil. What we got to do is disrupt it because it is a spiritual war. You know? It's a spiritual battle, guys. It's a spiritual battle. And look, when you're praying, something can happen. Right there, those planes are flying and, oh, shoot, something's not working. We can't do this. You know what? A wind comes in and takes everything and breaks everything apart. God is the maker and he's the owner of this planet. He will dissemble, but he's like, I want to hear it from my people. Where are my people? Pray to me and I will deliver. So these are the times that we have to put our faith in action. Every single person in every home, rebuke the sicknesses. From Bill Gates, rebuke it. Lord, disrupt his plans. Break them in Jesus' name. Break all his plans. Break them. Break them. Let them not even touch our family and our land. Break whatever's happening in the White House with these people. Break them, Lord. Don't let them go through. In the name of Jesus. Disturb their plans because they're evil plans. Break them in the name of Christ. Look, it's going to work. All right? As the next member of the shadows of darkness, I used to cast spells to hurt people. I used to do voodoo. I used to do santeria. I used to do all that stuff to do wrong to people. To do wrong to people. But there was one thing that I was warned about. If you ever touch, if your prayers and your spells go through somebody who's protected by God, it's going to come back to you. It's going to come back to you. So when you pray, you are protected. That's how strong the power of God is. Okay? With prayer. With prayer, you activate it. So witches and warlocks, Satanists, they cast their spells, their voodoo spells. They do the rituals, Satanism. All that is adding up to these evil people, these billionaires. They are part of those rituals. These are the times where your faith needs to go 100% up there and say, break those curses. Break them, Lord. Dismantle them. It's like a force like this. It's coming, and then it's going. That's what's happening. Okay? Certain spells were able to hurt people when I was doing this. Okay? The power of the devil is real, but greater is the power of God. I'll tell you that much. And I'm going to leave it up to that. I'm not here to I'm not a certified, priest, pastor, or, preacher, but I'm just telling you by experience, by personal experience. I know this and I believe this because from a guy that came out of darkness and used to practice all that, including playing with the Ouija board. And like I told you guys, there's more to it. There's more to it. This is the spiritual battle. It's not going to be won by flesh. All right? It's not going to be done by that. Don't think 1 second you're going to pick up guns and you're going to be controlling the whole entire globe. I mean, you're going to be the hero and you're going to help with this whole globalization stuff. You're not. We are small compared to what they have right now. But what we have is God and Christ, which is bigger than all their weapons put together. Not even nuclear bombs can hit up the sky and destroy the maker. Because he'll bring them back with some big balls of fire. Those big old steroids, what do you call them? Asteroids, right? I'm sorry. Asteroids, a big flaming fire coming down here and, it'll finish the planet in a second if God wishes. You know what I mean? So let's depend on Christ and God more. You know what I mean? Let's rebuke those things when you see them. Pray in Houston, everywhere you're at. You know what I mean? There's a snowstorm. Pray against it. Disrupt the wicked. You know what I mean? Disrupt their plans. It's like a channel. That's the true frequency, guys, against to break their frequency. All right? So there's nothing you have to be scared of. Get yourself with Christ. Always ask him for forgiveness because we are not perfect and we know that. But we know we have a powerful God. Powerful. And this country has what? Been one nation under God. And who's going to come against us if God is on our side? Nobody. But we got to activate. We got to activate Christ. We got to activate our Lord and Savior. We got to activate. We got to activate with what? Prayer is the biggest weapon. Is the biggest weapon. When you're praying, you're reloading. You are. Because that's going to fire and that's going to go against the evil. It's going to allow the angels of the Lord of God to come in there and attack them. Go back. Go back. And it's like this. It's a force. It's pushing. It's pushing. The more prayers we get, the more we are going to finish and dismantle the works. The more we pray, the more. And they know it. They know it. They know it. They know it. But the thing is that nobody is waking up to it, guys. Doesn't matter. In your own home, wherever you're at. You're feeling ill? Rebuke it. Rebuke the sickness and say, Lord, I'm not going to be sick. This is the devil's work. It ain't your work. This is not your work, Lord. This ain't your work at all. It's the devil's work. It is. All right. So don't forget how powerful and mighty our God is. And with that being said, guys, have a blessed and great, what is it today? Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll see you at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with a brother Fernando to pray for everybody. Okay. This was shown because God wanted me to put this for everybody to see. Most people are not aware about what's happening. Not to bring fear. The ones that trust in the Lord should not fear and will not fear from the devil. Okay? Will not fear. The only one to fear is God, the maker, who can destroy if he wants to, if he pleases to. He can destroy, this planet. He can destroy, our soul, and he can destroy our body, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that because we are onto him. We're holding on to him. And he knows these are my children and I will protect them and I will be consuming fire to those who try to touch them. I will be consuming fire. I said consuming fire to those who want to touch not even one single hair they'll be able to touch. Okay? You serve a powerful God. You serve an almighty Lord God. This nation has been founded under God. I don't care how much you want to talk about, all right? And God knows, and he will hear every prayer. But the more he hears, you're just building up God's, excitement up there in the heavens, in the heavenly kingdom. All right, you're just making him, and he's just gonna. I just believe with one finger, he doesn't even have to raise up from the throne, but he will make those. He will make that sky rumble. Like, I mean, you'll hear his voice from here all the way to China. Trust me, you will. But the thing is that it has to happen. So let's focus on that, guys. Let's pray every single day. Pray against the works of the devil. Pray against the Satanists. Pray against the people that are doing this stuff to us and our country and all over the world who are affected. Pray against the works of the devil. Say, Lord, cover us with your precious blood, Lord Jesus. And we pray against what the devil's trying to do. Break the curses. Break every single, dark prayer that comes out of them. Break all these evil spirits that are coming to attack us. And when that happens, look, the sun will come out. We'll clean the snowstorm in 1 second. We'll put the power back on, and there will be a lot more done quickly. God will bring that sun and will melt the crap out of everything. You know what I mean? So that's what it is, guys. Keep your faith, all right? Keep your faith strong. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. I love you. God bless you. And Frank, the tank, I am out, okay? Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. All right? Have a good night.